Hey everybody, welcome to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef. My friend Jim's coming back in at some point. He's having technical difficulties, but before that we also have DV's Vacuum.
Hello.
Hi Tuesday.
It's your boy.
That other guy.
Yo.
What's up? So broadly we finished Takeshi's route. More or less. Some of us got different endings than others, but
A lot of shit happened, y'all.
So
If you're reading along at home, you know the
know
shit that happened.
Yes.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. This is probably one of the longer kind of segments we've done, you know? I think.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Do you want to take us away?
Well, let's see. So, I have notes for both the Sora ending and the Tsugumi ending, because I went through and looked at that, but,
So you've gotten both.
The first one was the Sora ending, and I didn't write down the same notes for Tsugumi, but at the beginning of day 5, Takeshi wakes up and is finally thinking about his mortality. Like, finally they're actually getting close, and that still doesn't make any sense to me. If I was in that situation, I would not wait until the very end to think about how I'm gonna die.
Right. Well, they all seem fairly dense in that front, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. Takeshi goes to the security room, and there's a computer with a readout that says, essentially, saving, do not turn off your computer. Then I think the first choice that we come across is Takeshi's kind of wandering around, and he comes across the elevators, and you have the option of not pressing the button or not pressing the button.
And I don't think that's impactful at all.
No, but I pressed the button.
Me too.
Yeah, pressing the button gets you 2 button points. Otherwise, you don't get any.
Right.
For the button ending.
Oh my god, actually pushing the button... I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Pushing the button gets you a Tsugumi point.
Oh, what? Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay, so it doesn't like matter though. I don't think if you don't push the button, like Tsugumi doesn't come and talk to you or anything like that, because Tsugumi comes and talks to you either way. And also either way, she invites Takeshi to go ride on the quail. that squid ride or jellyfish ride or whatever, where you, I guess, ride on a jellyfish gondola?
I guess.
That's what it sounded like, yeah.
It's
like a Ferris wheel, but bad.
So in the Tsugumi ending, what happens on the gondola?
I think it happens the same way, but I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't happen the same way.
I'm lying then.
Okay, so this was from a while ago that I watched it, but I remember you just start talking to Tsugumi about her deal and what her deal is. I don't remember the exact orders, but it ends up fucked up. Do you have notes on like exactly what occurs there?
I'm looking at the Let's Play too. So what's going on here?
Yeah, it's real fun. So Tsugumi basically talks about her past, and if you are on the Tsugumi route, then she gives much more information about her past.
I see.
And she
she's like, she starts with the fact that she's 12, I think, right? And then, she does like a ship of Theseus kind of thing.
She says something happened to her when she was young, and she starts out more vague, and she's like, I'm at 19 years old, the cells in my body had fully replaced themselves, I'm the carrier for this virus, and so now she looks, she's the Ever 17. The Ever 17 is Tsugumi. She looks like that, even though she's older now.
Oh, I see. She's 23, 24 in a few months, yeah, but like, yeah. Gotcha.
But her body has stopped aging. Yeah.
Yeah, because
she's immortal.
She's immortal. She's the carrier for a virus. Mm-hmm. She's super healing, and she's immortal, and
she's pissed.
Right.
And then while they're in the gondola,
yeah, so they get into this
they
debate.
go into gondola 2 times, right? This is the first.
Or he like starts doing
route.
laps. Oh, do they? Okay.
Because there's one. I think there's one where she gives less information and then they go back and she gives more information.
Yeah,
and then
one of them ends
it's
in a real good dunk.
She kind of goes on this tangent of like, what are you? Are you like your fingernails? If you chewed your fingernail off and it fell off, is that still you? If you cut your arm off, is that still you? If you cut your head off, is that still you? And
yeah, in the Sora route, I don't think she goes into the same amount of detail about how immortal she is.
Right.
She just she has a philosophical discussion with Takeshi, and she's like, basically like, you are information, like, which is really interesting because I actually have this book on my desk that's called The Philosophy of Information, and it's like a real thing, which is very recent and before this game, which is this idea of the fundamental thing that makes up human beings, is or like living things is information, and it's just a really cool, weird thing, because she kind of talks about it in a very like cursory way, that this theory of information. And
it's a little bit more of an elegant way of saying that you're just a meat puppet. Your thoughts and the rest of you is just meat.
Yeah, and that who you are is separate from like the physical body that you're in. But she is like, well, but I am in this physical body, which so that she's sort of bound spiritually to her physical body. She can't leave, and she can't go die. And which also sounds like a vampire. And also, while they're on the gondola, I think this happens in both routes, but I'm not sure. Sugumi kind of she gets mad at Takeshi and like slams him on the ground, and is like, we have this kind of erotic scene as she's choking him.
Oh, I thought she was beating him in the head, like slamming his head against the bottom of the gondola.
I mean, she does do that at some point, but they have like a little bit of an erotic moment first, and then she just starts going mental and beats his head against the ground, starts choking him, trying to get him to kill her.
Yeah,
it
she's
was
like,
definitely
you need
a
to
moment
kill
of
me.
Yeah, there definitely was a moment of, is this supposed to be sexy? And then she started like choking a bit, and it's like, okay, how about now?
How you feel now?
So she tries to kill him because she's like, you won't kill me, so I'm gonna kill you instead. And so Takeshi refuses to kill her, obviously, and she won't explain herself further. So she tries to kill him, starts choking him and slamming his head on the ground, and then she kisses him.
Oh,
Right.
that didn't happen in I took the Sora route, and yeah.
No, it happens in the Sora route.
It happens
I
in
mean,
both
it's
routes.
maybe it's more vague.
Oh,
but
maybe no.
She
You're
definitely
right.
kisses
Okay.
him
I'm thinking of something else. Got it.
because of the thing that happens with Sora.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm remembering now.
Importantly, when she kisses him, he talks about that he has her sweat and blood in his mouth, which will be, I think, important to come back to later.
Oh yeah, that does sound like it's going to be important.
So even in the Sora ending, he ingests some of her blood. And so that happens on the gondola.
Oh my gosh, this is...
Does she talk about her past more extensively? Is that like a second
That's
ride?
the second gondola. Yeah, I
There's
had
a
to
second
double
ride? Okay.
check.
That's
They
the one
do
that
go
kicks
back
ass.
on the gondola.
Yeah, that ride kicks ass. I can't wait.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if it was all at the same time, but no, they go back later on the Sugumi ending.
Also, it's super vague because I know we talked about it's like a Ferris wheel or something, but when they show a picture of it, it looks like just like a jellyfish pod, but not connected really to anything, or like connected to the
Yeah,
trails.
like where is it? Does it go outside of Lemieux, like out in the water? And it's because it's just like like a cartoon jellyfish on a string, and that's the picture of it.
Yeah. The only thing I have here is just that like if you kind of look at it, it looks like maybe it's attached to this like top rail that looks like it's on the I don't know, like some kind of glass going to the ocean. I don't really get it at all. It's like totally unclear.
It looks like it's a kind of a top rail, but in that case, it's not really a Ferris wheel because it can't really go. Like, it can't go a full circle.
I mean, the point of it is it's supposed to be like a Ferris wheel, I think. Like a sort of slow-moving, like...
Or is it like in a tube?
Yeah, that's it. It looks like it's in a tube.
Oh, there you go. You're right. It is in a tube.
Yeah.
Why anything about this engineering?
It looks... Yeah, it looks totally awful. But,
Whatever.
at any rate, yeah.
Don't question the quail. It's
Looks like it might actually go
mysterious.
outside with all the fishes and stuff.
But not in a way that can help them escape, I guess.
No.
Nope, of course not. And by the way, this
Yeah.
little Tsugumi date happens at like 5 in the morning. On day
Yeah, and it
5.
happens no matter which route you're on,
Yes, that's exactly right.
which is weird.
Well, see if that
So
comes
then,
back
so
to us.
so we go from Tsugumi trying to kill Takeshi and then kissing him, and then we just cut to him leaving, and he goes to bed and wakes back up and everything is fine. Like, there's no, like... And that's it. And then it's the next day. And then it's like... Then later, they wake up and have breakfast.
Yeah, and he sees her again, and I'm expecting some kind of reaction, but no, he just kind of like, well, that didn't happen. I must have just dreamed
Meanwhile-
that.
Thank you again for the brand. So,
The next day...
Meanwhile,
It's so weird, and like they have breakfast, and Takeshi feels like he messed up by not killing Tsugumi, which is probably true. And also on Sora's route, I think both ways. Probably Sora's really distant in the morning, because if you're on Tsugumi's route, you don't care about Sora, and if you're on Sora's route, it's important though that she's very distant the next morning. And ignores Takeshi when he asks some kind of question about what she meant by traffic, talking about trying to escape and stuff like that. Also, Sora explains the next morning that the system maintenance that makes her like sleep late is when her code is rewritten. So she's actively being rewritten several times over the course of this thing.
Basically a defrag of the hard drive.
Yeah, but also when the changes are made to the neural net.
You know what? Can I mention too? There's a pretty funny like exchange because she talks about there's a slight problem concerning Lemmy traffic, and then Takeshi's like, "Hey Sora, what do you mean by traffic? I'd like to know what was tweaked." And she just goes, "Okay, let's go to breakfast." Like just completely blows him off.
Right,
She
yeah.
just totally
Like,
yeah,
she kind of
so
pulls
something's
this
up.
little face, and then is like, anyway,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
Also that
sandwich
morning
again.
is when Coco tries to climb one of the statues, which is the thing that happens in Kids Route.
yeah,
yep.
And it
It's
seems-
another crossover with the other playthrough.
Yeah, exactly, and it seems like almost the same thing happened. Like she draws the same thing, she slips, she falls. I think Kid grabs her, right? Like he
Yeah, he easily
He does,
catches her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because his arm's not
isn't.
broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I noticed between the two routes, when Coco carves the statue, in Sora's run, the statue is pointing up, and in Tsugumi's route, it's the one pointing down.
Jesus Christ, you've got an eagle eye on this stuff.
Wait, what was the
So,
difference between Tsugumi's route?
It's one pointing up versus one pointing down, I think.
Oh, wow.
They describe it in terms of cardinal directions. So it's just that they were statues pointing two different ways between the two routes.
I bet I
don't
know what that is. I bet that she's
Heaven or
carving in
hell.
I bet that she's carving in the same location, but between the realities, one statue is pointing up and the other's pointing down.
Yeah.
Like
that's
this is the
kind of
reality
impression I got.
where the decorator was like, I think that statue would look better over there. The one pointing up. Don't put the one pointing down over there.
But it's the same thing. And then one thing that I realized while we were playing this is that it's all the people, the 6 people, and then 2 animals. And now we know in this route that the second animal is Chami.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that other one was. Because Coco knows about Chami. And Kid and Coco finished the carving together. So if we think about Kid's route, he like went to try to catch her, and then she disappeared and he dive bombs into the water with a broken arm.
On his broken arm, taking full force.
Yeah. And let's see. So then Takeshi wants to go talk to... So Takeshi has the option to go talk to you, talk to Sora, and talk to Tsugumi. And if you go to talk to Sora, he goes to the control room and she's not there, and that's it. And then you go back. You go back to the. Then you can go to the security office where Yu is and talks about cracking that password. I tried to look and see if I wrote down what happens if you go try to talk to Tsugumi, but I don't have anything written down, so nothing must have happened.
This is, correct me if I'm wrong here, the actual choice is,
it's choose two.
Right.
You can talk to you, Sora, or Tsugumi, and you pick two of them.
But it's like you pick a place, right? They're like, do you want to go to the control room? And
and it doesn't, like, gives you a choice, go to the person. It just says go to the place.
And you're right that you can choose two, and you can pick up both Sora and Tsugumi points here by going to control room and infirmary, one for each. So that's not mutually exclusive, but I mean, I'm trying to see here. I think, you're locked in at this point anyway, so it doesn't, like, at this point, if you're on the Sora route, Tsugumi points don't matter, and vice versa, so whatever, I guess. Alright.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So if you go talk to Yu, she's trying to hack the password. Yu also talks to Takeshi and is like, the computer where Sora is coming from, or where Sora is stored, is on Incel Null. So how can she still be around if all the communications with the surface are disrupted? So later, this is not necessarily the case, but at least at this point, Takeshi's like, she's not even at risk being here. Mm-hmm. Like, her data is not going to be destroyed. There's still a copy of her that exists on the surface.
Right.
So he gets upset, I think, because her life is not at stake the same way that theirs are. And we're getting more and more into, like, does Sora actually have any investment in this, or is this just kind of like a game to her? And he starts to distrust Sora more. What happens next?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Oh, the sandwich! Oh my god.
Oh, the sandwich. Jesus.
Oh yeah, the kid. Poor kid.
Does someone else want to tell the sandwich story?
That's right. How did this... So... They're back in... They seem to, like, to congregate in that, like... They get the food from the little Tutsta Imbus, like, submarine. The sandwiches. But then they, like, congregate in that room with the closed-off pool and the water and the statues and all that. And then, they're eating their chicken sandwiches and stuff. And, Ty, I think you'll appreciate this.
Mm-hmm.
The kid says, I've had enough of chicken sandwiches, and just throws a huge temper tantrum. And
the kid who throws a shit fit over chicken Sammys.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so sick of just eating chicken sandwiches, we're all gonna die here and stuff. And then Takeshi is like, what the fuck, bro? You gotta hold on, man. This is crazy. And kid's yelling. And then you get the option, hit the kid or don't hit him. Which, by the way, actually matters as a choice.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you hit him, do you get a Tsugumi point?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, if you hit it's a Tsugumi point or a Sora point junction, and hitting Tsugumi likes it when you hit him. So
I will slap the hell out of that kid.
How exactly Kid express how he loses it is Takeshi says, "Oh, Kid, do you want another Sando?" And Kid is just like staring at him, full of rage, has his uneaten sandwich in his hand, and just crushes it, all while making unblinking eye contact with Takeshi, and then throws it on the ground. And it's just, the mental image is so funny. There's also a loud sound that echoes through the room. I think this happens in both timelines, where both like Kid's route and Takeshi's route, where it's like, oh, where they're afraid that something else is going to flood, and but nobody does anything about it because everyone is so taken in by the sandwich drama.
I mean, you can't look away from sandwich drama.
No.
So
Also,
then,
has no one cut up the sandos and just like made some nuggies? Maybe that could. Every kid loves chicken nuggets, named Kid or is actually a kid.
Fuck him,
know,
no.
right?
No, he doesn't want the chicken sandwich. He can go to hell. Hit him. Even though.
So depending on which choice you make, also is who talks to the kid. So if you don't hit him, then Sora talks to him, and if you do hit him, then Tsugumi talks to him. And Tsugumi's dialogue with the kid, I think, was a lot better than Sora's dialogue. Like, Tsugumi is like, coming from this place where like she knows what it feels like to want to give up, and that that feel like you're ready to die. And she's like, well, trying to get him to say, right, like, what he intends to do, and he can't say it. And she's like, well, you can't do it then, and you have to keep going. And it was all very good. It was a much better conversation that what happens with Sora.
And at this point, in either route, whether you hit him or don't, you kind of yell at him a little bit, and then everyone gets pissed at you.
Yeah. Everybody's mad. Well, so Sora then, so while Tsugumi comes from this very, like, human place, Sora tries to focus, like, kind of, like, gloss over everything and focus on making him a new sandwich. And Takeshi explodes at her like she doesn't know what they're really talking about. What they're really talking about.
Because
they're not talking about sandwiches.
Sora.
They're
it's
talking
not about the sandwich.
They're talking about how they're gonna die. And Sora doesn't quite understand that, it seems. Like, Takeshi, like, blows up at her and is like, you don't know the subtlety of what's going on, do you? And she finally is like, I'm not sure what's going on. And so that's what happens with Sora. And then on Sora's route, she looks around the room and then runs out of the room, and Tsugumi calls Takeshi a scumbag. So everybody's mad. So,
everybody
Takeshi
leaves the
upsets
room.
Sora in the Sora route, and in Tsugumi's route, I think she talks to Kid and then leaves. I don't know if there's anything else that happens.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a lot. But so, on the Sora path, this is when some shit happens.
Oh, shit.
So this is Sora. So Sora runs out of the room in Sora's path, and Takeshi follows her, or also leaves the room, and ends up in front of the Himmel door. And he hears Sora's voice, and it's like a calm, more robotic Sora's voice.
Yeah, like, kind of not quite saying things that make sense.
Yeah, or just like saying like system maintenance type things.
Right. Or like Takeshi's freaking out.
And then the door closes behind him. So Takeshi is sealed in the watertight door between that door and the Himmel door. And the sprinkler system turns on.
Yeah, and Takeshi's like freaking out about it, and Sora's like, "What's wrong, Takeshi? I don't
understand. What's wrong?
Right.
I'm just a dumb robot."
And the room is filling with water. So it's like shit goes south real fast. Takeshi quickly realizes that Sora has trapped him in a room and is filling it with water and pretending not to understand what he's saying.
Yeah, and yeah.
And
I mean, I know what they were going for, but I feel also like, how fast can sprinklers fill up a big hallway like that?
Yeah.
I was a little like, good.
Yeah, and we don't know how real of a threat this really is.
Yeah, like, we don't know if that was just her kind of getting revenge, or if she was really going to kill him.
Yeah, but she yeah. So basically she's jealous, right? At this point we can assume that she was monitoring what happened on Quail and saw the kiss.
Yeah, specifically what she says is when she's in that maintenance thing where she's rewriting her memory, she sees everything in the facility. Normally, she tries to respect people's privacy by not looking at them when she doesn't need to. But during that maintenance, she has no choice. She has to see that. So that was her seeing what was going on between Takeshi and Tsugumi, and not really having any choice about it. And then later trying to act like she didn't see that.
Right.
So then there's two Soras. There's suddenly another Sora's voice appears and says, "Who are you? You aren't me. You're not me."
Mm-hmm.
And Takeshi,
I think you're the faker.
You're the real fake hedgehog around here, Sora.
Real fake hedgehog.
Takeshi opens his eyes and he is in the ocean, but he can breathe.
Right.
He takes a minute to realize that this is an RSD projection. And Sora appears in the water and talks about how she is programmed to make mistakes sometimes. And that's like part of her programming and part of what her creator decided. And in AI, we just call this exploring the state space. There's really no need to romanticize it.
So, isn't like the one AI, like the other Sora is kind of telling the Sora we know, like, hey, you're broken, something's wrong with you, like, or, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then,
I don't know if we're quite right there. We're not quite there yet, because the robots, the more robot fake Sora like calls out the real Sora. But first Sora asks Takeshi, "Have you ever lied before?"
right.
And so I said yes. Obviously,
yes.
Takeshi has lied before. I don't think these matter.
Mm-mm.
And then she says,
check,
"Well, have I ever lied before?"
Right.
And
no,
what?
smacking kid is the last important choice of the day.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I said Takeshi has lied before. Sora's like, "Of course, you're human." And then she says, "Have I ever lied before?" And I answered, "No, Sora has not lied before," because I don't think that she's really. I'm not sure that she's really lying. I don't think I don't know if that's really lying is what you can put on her. More that because if her memory is being rewritten, then it's not really a lie. It's that she doesn't know that information.
Mm-hmm.
And he also says things like, white lies or joke lies or something like that, not serious lies.
Right.
Yeah, and so Sora seems to like those answers. She says something along the lines of, like, you're experiencing reality, but is it real? And that's when he realizes that the RSD projected ocean that he's in. And Sora says that she's broken. Whatever her rational choice thing is not working, which is why she has endangered Takeshi's life like this and is torturing him right now. And so at that point, if it's not clear, it's made explicitly clear that she's mad because he sort of cheated on her by being almost murdered by Tsugumi.
Yeah, there's this point where the kind of real AI is kind of calling her out on her thoughts, and it has access to all of her thought processes, and is like, well, you were jealous and you actually wanted to kill him, and you put him here in this hallway to kill him. You wanted to see him die. You wanted to have your revenge. And she's like, no, that's not true. But it's stating this all just very matter-of-factly. It's like,
I'm reading this from the log. You had this thought that you love him and this thought that you hate him, so that's wrong, and there's an error in your functioning.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
And so I think the new Sora is also the fake Sora, because he sort of refers to her as the fake Sora.
Yeah.
The fake Sora could be Lamy, or it could just be like a new instance of Sora that's gonna replace this instance of Sora.
I guess I think to me Lamy makes more sense, or at least like a Lamy instantiated or forked Sora, I guess you could say. Because, like, Sora could make, like, other instances of herself, like in the Dolphin Carousel or whatever, but they were all kind of her and under her
They weren't
control,
judgmental of her.
Seems like, this one totally seems like its own deal.
Like, I think this one is like it's like a manifestation of just her internal kind of logic code that tries to keep everything in check. What is that? What is that,
Sora-
like the id or the ego?
No, superego.
The superego?
This is the logical part.
I always forget the super
I mean, it's
ego.
like it's her monitor. Like, you know, if you're doing software design for AI, you know, you sort of have the decision-making thing, and then you have the like high-level monitor that can look at the larger pattern, depending on what that means, or just being able to control all the disparate parts separate from the learning algorithm. But Sora also talks about how she could just delete the part of her memory where Takeshi and Tsugumi kissed. So this idea of that she's like rewriting, so it sort of like leaves it open as to like what sort of horrible things she's also rewritten in her memory. Of course, later we find out that they're not necessarily deleted, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Have we gotten to the point where the fake Sora is basically threatening to do a system format?
Yeah, yeah. So Sora admits that she loves Takeshi and that that's not an error, and Lumi just keeps calling her out. So as Sora's about to be deleted, I guess Takeshi calls out to her as like doing the whole professor thing.
Oh, right, because, like, when she's freaking out, she says, like, no, I love him, I want to be in his class, and then, like, he kind of, like, snaps to attention, and he's like, hey, professor, he says, I forget what he says, like, her last name, you know?
Yeah, he's like, Miss Nagasaki, you know,
Yeah.
I'm here, and she's
Yeah.
like, yes, professor.
And then, that's...
So Sora and fake Sora keep talking, and Sora says she both loves and hates Takeshi. So Takeshi, like, to escape from the ocean, that's the ocean
Yeah.
effect, he takes out his voice converters and then, like, blocks the camera. I don't know if like, blocks something with his phone so that the lights turn back on.
I didn't
really
follow
understand
that,
that
yeah.
either.
No.
He, like, jams his phone into the wall, and he turns on the backlighting behind the fake Sora, the Sora, the fake Sora. And that...
Oh, is he just like trying to disrupt the light projection system?
I guess
or something
so.
like that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
'cause
guess
it's like it's the whole like projecting light directly onto your eye thing. So he's just trying to fuck that up. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
but the only-
so it's not ocean anymore.
But technically, fake Sora doesn't need to be seen by Takeshi, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't really work. Everything goes back to normal, but the Soras are gone.
Right,
After
and
that.
they're not coming back. I mean, not that they're not coming back, but like, Takeshi can't find them, and he's like yelling out for her and stuff, but she seems like she's not there. And then the cosmic whale room floods.
And then and then we get the confirmation that the cosmic whale room flooded. Nobody
What is
questions Takeshi about what happened to him, or if he's okay, or why he's wet.
Nope.
Because they don't care, because they're still pissed at him
I guess so.
for yelling at Kid.
Well, in the Tsugumi route, this same thing happens, but you know he didn't just come from almost being murdered by a robot, so you know. Day 6.
Day 6, huh?
Everyone acts real weird at breakfast.
Wait, was there-
Takeshi burns his finger on the grill, but no one says anything. No one cares about Takeshi.
Yeah, they're all mad at him. Was there?
Should we talk
This doesn't make
about?
any sense.
Should we talk about Pod 2?
Yeah, I guess that
Pod
is when
2
that
for
happened.
Tsugumi.
Yeah,
That's end
the
of day
murder
5.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So if you didn't do that, then you and Tsugumi, if you're on the Tsugumi route, then Tsugumi takes you back on the quail, and also for some reason, he still goes with her.
Yeah, he like violently takes her too. So, or she violently takes him. I mean, like it's not.
I think in the Tsugumi route, I don't know, is it just as clear that she tries to kill him in the Tsugumi route,
Yeah,
or is
oh,
it
yeah.
like less?
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I
And, like,
don't fucking know.
and when she grabs Takeshi to take him back there, he doesn't just like be like, she's not just like, hey, let's go. And she like fucking like wrenches his damn arm off and like grabs him by the ear and is like, we're fucking going to the jellyfish again. And he's just like, no, wait, hold up.
Right.
We're going to the jellyfish. And then yeah, you have a second conversation
And
in there.
It's
And it's so she's like, oh, Chami is like me, or like no, she takes the hamster and she's like, Takeshi, what would, I can't die, but people can die, like, you don't understand. And he's like, no, like, it's worth living. And she's like, you don't understand, Takeshi. What happens if she takes Chami, and she's like, what happens if I do this? And she puts her hands around Chami, and he's like, what are you doing? She's like trying to get him to say Chami will die, but he won't say it, and he's like, don't do that. What are you doing? And she's like, what am I gonna do? And she like slowly crushes the hamster to death.
Yep.
Yeah, like, and there's like blood coming out of her hands and stuff, and she's like, "What'll happen?" She's like, fucking stop it! Well, what'll happen? What do you think? And then, like, even after like she's crushed, she's just like, "Well, what do you think? What do you think happened? Tell me what would happen." And he's just like, look, he's just like looking at her. He's just like, "What the? He's dead. What do you think?" Like, she opens it up and just he yells at her like, "What'd you do?" And he's like, "Well, what'd you think? What do you think's happening now?" And he just starts getting really mad at her. And then he eventually says, he's dead, he won't ever move again. And then she just kind of like unfolds her hands and holds it up, and the hamster's just totally fine. Just like standing there.
He came back to life.
Yep.
Drink my blood and become a vampire.
Yep. She explains, he bit her finger and got blood all over him. So
he bit her finger by accident, got some of her blood in his mouth. Now Chami is also immortal.
And then, but then it's funny because he's like, what did you put your hamster through? That was awful. And she's like, no, I thought you were the one who said it's just enough to be alive when you were trying to like talk to Kid back there. And it was like, that's a pretty extreme way of showing up Takeshi, but there you have it.
Yeah, and then he mentions like, she's just like, you know how many times I've died? And he's just like, fuck, I don't fucking know that. What are you talking about? She's like, well, it doesn't matter. I lost track too. And he's like, all right. It's like kind of that thing where it's like, okay, yeah, that's I think the line is just, like, hey, do you know how many times I've died? I have no idea. I don't remember anymore anyway. And then just silence, which, like, that's a pretty good response to someone revealing they're immortal and they've died a bunch. You're just gonna, yeah, I got nothing.
So Takeshi kind of has, I guess, this, like, realization that, like, all of his, his sort of thing of, like, no, we have to keep, like, trying to stay alive, like, that's not the way that he should be talking to Tsugumi, and I think he like finally gets that.
Yeah, it was really insensitive on hindsight.
Yeah. Ty, do you want to talk about Tsugumi's backstory?
I mean, I just want to flag up to this point. His whole thing was, life is worth living. If you want to die, then you're horrible. You shouldn't talk like that. That's really selfish of you, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in her situation, it's different.
Yeah, and then she just talks about, she's like, okay, so I actually ended up in a facility, basically just a lab that at the time she thought was a hospital, because she was like 12 when it happened.
12, yeah.
2005 or something. And, mentions like, oh, hey, did you, like, how'd you end up? She's like, yeah, there was an accident or something like that.
Yeah, she got hit by a truck and didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
And she woke up in the research facility.
Yeah, and she thought it was a hospital at first because she was 12 and she would believe anything. And
there was also another kid there, and she specifically says that it was there was another kid there who was a boy who looked like the kid, and he could see the future, but he had amnesia.
Dun.
So, like, I guess that's why she recognizes him and tries to reach out to him, but he's clearly not the same person, or he doesn't remember anything at all anymore.
Yeah, and so she was stuck there at the research facility for 8 years.
Yeah.
And they keep saying like, hey, we're gonna cure you, and she just responds like, well, I mean, I got in an accident, but I'm fine. I'm fine now. It's like, no, it's different. You have a disease. We don't know what it is. And yeah, she just mentions, like, I have no idea. When I woke up, I was in the process of becoming immortal.
Yeah, and then after X amount of years, once the cells in her body had turned over, the virus, which is called Cure virus, which is the antidote of Tief Blau, supposedly. So the only way to not die from teeth flow is to become immortal. Well, there were all these experiments. She talks about looking at stuff with this boy. The boy also, who could see the future, also foresaw a tragedy in her life in 5 years when she turned 17, which is when the cells in her body had turned over, and then 3 years after that, and then 3 years after that. But she was going to live through all of them.
So then, every 3 years, she's basically regenerated every cell in her body. None of her original cells are there.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what they say, right? That's how long it takes your cells to turn over in your body.
Or something like that. But yeah, he just mentions all the tragedies, and if she said she's 23 now, that would also be another time of a tragedy. So
yeah, and it also they talked about other experiments that were going on in the facility, and there were animals that her and the boy kind of like wanted to look at. But they were kept away from them, and it seems like they had infected the animals with curare or with TB, and then cut them up to see if they were still alive. That's kind of what I got the impression, and which Tsugumi talks about, and also Sora talks about, this idea of, like, because cure, I guess, like, binds you to your, this undying physical form, that you, like, if they cut them up, like, is that still alive? And I guess it was, because they talk about, like, how many cuttings.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and they so they do just like they go and look at all the kitties and puppies and shit in the cages and decide they're gonna let them all out. And so they do, because they're children, they're like 13-year-old kids. Let them out, and yeah, everybody just freaks out, is super concerned about being bitten, so it's probably either Kira or Tief Blau. They freak out, and then they lock them again, and then Tsugumi kind of like understands slowly, like, oh, they put them back in because there's a bad thing going on.
Hey, Jim, you're in. Hey, welcome back.
Thankfully.
All right, cool. We only missed about 40 minutes. So we're on day 5. Tsugumi's a little kid in the lab, or rather, Tsugumi's a little kid releasing all the animals, I think is where we were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're doing some kind of experiments on these animals, which they could have infected them with Tief Blau, and then used Tsugumi's blood to give them cure, and so that they would become immortal, but also be cured of Tief Blau, and then also become immortal. And it sounded like they were cutting them up and seeing if they were still alive after they cut them up. So
yeah, they were talking about the number of splicings they could
and
take.
There's just so many times that in the game so far, from Sora, from Tsugumi, and from you, that we've heard about this kind of thing of like, oh, if you like, is your hair or your fingernails, are those still part of you or not?
Yeah,
idea.
It's like Shippothesus or Lock Socks, I think, right? It's like, actually, John Dies at the End does it too. The thing where if you like remove components of something and replace them with others, when does it stop being the thing, right? We talked about that.
Yeah, so it's all kind of in that theme, I think.
I have really bad short-term memory, so we probably just talked about this exact thing in the last podcast, and everybody is like, yeah, not again.
That's fine. No one remembers.
Okay, cool.
It's been 2 weeks.
But yeah, they so after that they snap back to that to the present. She just says, like, that's how it was for 8 years. They were forcing me to do all this shit and just maybe do it. And she's looking to stop being able to pain, suffer, basically my heart hardened, blah, blah, blah. And,
so she's kind of like 11 from Stranger Things too, in that, like, she was in this facility, she doesn't have any
spoilers!
emotional
Fuck.
development.
Oh well.
What? That's not a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of Stranger Things.
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
assumed
no,
it was.
yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay.
No,
That's
it's
good.
not. Don't
No.
worry.
But Jim, you did Sora's route, right?
I did, yeah.
So you only got the one date with Tsugumi, I'm assuming, where she tries to like kill Takeshi more or less. Not really, but
yeah, it's kind of a marry, fuck, kill all in one date.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Then we just got through the part where Sora gets super jealous and tries to kill Takeshi.
Yeah. We went over
which
that.
was also fantastic.
Yeah, he's really good at getting that kind of response out of women.
Boy just can't catch a break.
And then, so what happens is somehow he goes on a second date the same day with Tsugumi that she tries to kill him in the same place, the Qual. And she got like, okay, here's my backstory. They like injected me with something where basically I don't really age and I have a healing factor. And my hamster Chami does too, because he like drank my blood. That's
she's a vampire.
That's the short of it. I think it was they did that to her in an attempt to cure Teeth Blau.
Well, I think it's that she had it already because she got hit by a truck and didn't die. So she already had it, and then they like went to study her.
Yeah, I think the implication was she was in a hospital, and then the doctors noticed something was wrong, and they kind of took her to this research facility.
Oh, okay. And there's like other
realized this kid's immortal. Like, let's figure this shit out.
And there's another kid there who looks like the kid, and he can tell the future, but that she's friends with. Anyway.
But he has amnesia all the time.
Exactly.
So this could be that same kid. It could be someone else. The weirdest thing is that they talk about, like, you know, these taking splices from this stuff. So it sort of makes me wonder, it's like, is the kid the same kid, or is this a different kid because of this weird splicing research that they seem to be doing?
Like, if you chop off a kid finger, does it grow into another kid?
Does it grow into another kid? Are there a bunch of kids wandering around being idiots everywhere?
Is this like U.S. currency where if you like split it, it's whatever half is bigger? But what if you cut it exactly 50%? Man.
Yeah, man.
So look.
So yeah.
Day 6. Everyone's mad
being weird.
Everyone's mad at Takeshi. He like burns his finger, and he's even like, "My finger smells like a sausage, right, everybody?" And they're just ignoring him.
He gets a sympathy bark from the dog.
Yeah, pretty much. Pee-Pee's his only friend. And then, and then they again they go back to that same fucking picnic place again. And Takeshi, tell me if I'm missing anything, and then Takeshi decides to give like a pep talk. Like, alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a party. The first thing is, I'm gonna go upstairs and get the beer and use like there's no beer.
The first thing, before that though, they go over the same thing that they go over in Kids Route, where Sora explains that because the whale flooded and Lemieux's gonna tilt, and we're at the point of no return for the plus or minus 12 hours, so now we're in a death countdown. And Kid in the rest area, Kid warns of some shaking that's about to happen, and then it does, and Sora says, "Oh, it's just the thermal vents." That's not further explored. And then Takeshi gives the speech. They have a party. They have a party together, and it's so cool that there's not even a picture to go with it.
Yeah, there's no artwork necessary. This party is just that great.
Tell, don't show.
No, take our word for it. It was the funniest comedy bit ever, you guys.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that Kid can make a joke.
He can't.
He can be the butt of a joke.
It's just surreal. Like, everybody does something that you would not really expect them to do. Kid and Takeshi do a stand-up routine together, and they get along.
Yeah, and Tsugumi does like a magician's act or something.
Yeah, with Chami.
That's right.
Which is
looking back, does she just crush it and then like bring it back out?
Yeah, right.
Oh god.
I think he like runs around inside her clothes, like it goes from one pocket to like a sleeve or something, is what it said. I don't know, it's all stupid. And they all eat and they make a note that it might be their last meal. And if you are on the Sora route, Takeshi tries to talk to Sora about what had happened last night, but she just talks about how she likes it when people smile, and that's how she was programmed. And then which finally puts that last nail in the she rewrote her memory.
Yes. So, we call it Day 6 seems like it's gonna be a wash, but then Kid Tsugumi wants to talk to Sora about something in private as a way of escape, just like on Kids Route. And again, just like on Kids Route, They've been talking for a while. Kid goes over, comes running back. Oh my God, guys, they're fighting. We have to stop this. That's somehow the worst thing that's happening.
When they fight.
It doesn't make any more sense from this perspective.
No, it doesn't. I think it's. Correct me if I'm wrong here. It's like a really kind of a same thing, where she's like, okay, wait, no, there is one thing that happens too. Where
while they're waiting, Yu talks to Takeshi and says she knows about Sora's malfunction in her thought process because she hacked into Sora, and Sora can't delete memories, she can only change their priority. Authorized human users can change their priority, which is perhaps foreshadowing for Kid's route. And so she basically we learned that Sora didn't delete her memories, but she just like set their priority to the lowest priority. So she never actually forgets anything that happens. She just adjusts the weights of the data in her system. I don't know. I think I that might happen in both. I don't really remember.
Does she say anything about rewriting her priorities? Like, as far as, like, self-preservation or preservation of everybody else?
She just says that she can change the priority of individual memories, which is more like changing the weights of each, stored memory.
Okay, yeah.
She doesn't say it, so she doesn't say it that explicitly. And there's also, like, in Tsugumi's route, when you talk to Yu, like, Yu has strangely prescient knowledge about Tsugumi as well. Like, she's like, oh, I hacked into this file on Tsugumi in the system, and like that she was part of this experiment, and like, is she really immortal? Like, what's that about? So either way, like, Yu knows the stuff that Takeshi knows because she hacked into Lumi, basically.
Which Yu is becoming like a surrogate Mayo in this run.
Yeah, so she's like, this Yu is good at hacking, but the other one is not. And Yu talks about a philosophy called Cure, which she says, believe it, desire it, and it can come true.
Oh boy.
Which is really abstract.
That sounds like...
Isn't that also that book, The Secret, too?
I was about to say.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So I'm not sure how this relates to Cure, like... Does this imply a larger metaphysical component to cure the thing that Tsugumi has? Like, is that itself like some kind of expression of willpower rather than a virus? I don't know. It was a strange thing to say.
Or maybe the cure for Teeth Blau is just really believing in yourself.
Or like, yeah, like. Is it referring to like having some sort of hallucination while you're in the pod, which is also like, I'm not totally off the table that these are hallucinations happening in the pods. That would suck, but it's not off the table. So then Kid comes in because and says that they're fighting, and Tsugumi says that she saw the lower floor while she was in the quail.
Right.
And also that she also hacked into Lumi. So Lumi in this is a lot easier to hack into.
Yes. Well, one of my favorite line also from when Tsugumi is confronting Sora, and we've come in on it, is that when Tsugumi says, I did a Turing test on her and she is an AI.
Yeah, that was a good line. Like, yeah, it's not just someone doing a very elaborate act. Thanks, Tsugumi. Good one.
Like a Turing.
Nice recon, dipshit.
Like, what?
As if the whole
It's just a weird
teleporting thing
to
wasn't
say.
enough.
Like, also, for the Turing test, you can't just convince one person. You have to convince multiple people. So I don't understand.
No. I'm sorry, D-Bag. That's not how it works. It's a test, just kind of it's like when you take someone's temperature. And
What's
you
your
see it,
favorite
it's like,
color?
Oh, you have a fever. That's Turing.
Green. That's a robot. Yeah, that's
it's like
easy.
a litmus test, right?
Done. Move on.
What Tsugumi did was she had like a stick that she put in like the RSD hologram, and it changed colors.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it came out, and she's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like
Highest number you can think of. 1 million. Oh yeah, that's a robot. I'd stop at 30, man. There's nothing after that. Like,
Yeah, she refused to cross running water for some reason.
Or it's like an internet speed test. Like, she just goes to a website, punches in some numbers. Oh, AI.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you've got 50 up, 30 down. That's terrible.
You must be a real AI. Importantly, in the other route, by this point, Sora had been hacked to protect her own interests above everyone else's.
Right. But...
and in this, she has not been hacked, and she admits to the existence of the lower structure.
Mm-hmm. And it says it's behind the Himmel door, but she can't. She doesn't know how, or she's not she doesn't have permission to open it or anything like that. But.
And Tsugumi points out, Himmel, that's your name, isn't it, Sora? Because Himmel means not just heaven, but sky in German, just like Sora means sky.
Japanese.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yup. So Himmel actually translates to Eris. Is what it's getting at, basically.
It does? Well, okay.
Never mind. No, it's Sora. It's Eris, Earth, Eris. Never mind.
I thought you said Eris like H-E-I-R-E-S-S.
No,
like,
Eris
I
like
think
Final
too.
Fantasy VII. Fucking what group are you with right now, man?
No. Excuse me. Aerith. All right, Aerith.
It's
That was
Phantom of
the
the Opera,
that was
you
literally
idiots.
the joke I was trying to line up for. Fucking knock him down. There's a strike. Good job, buddy. Damn it.
Well, all right.
Why are we a team?
First 4 people to respond to me on Twitter. That's not true. Any rate,
So Coco.
Coco.
So they're arguing, and they're saying stuff, and then Coco starts crying, and then blood starts coming out of her mouth. So
Is
that's
that good?
Not good.
It's good for me.
bad.
Honestly, at this point, I'm annoyed with Coco, so I'm just
Yeah.
like, whatever.
I was like, all right.
Because early on,
Here we
it's
go.
like, oh,
Because now, basically, so Sora says, these symptoms are, it's deep blue. Coco's got deep blue.
right.
Coco's got teeth blow, and first they go to the infirmary and they scan her with the machine, and it's like, yes, you have teeth blow. And
Yep. Oh no, our plot device is sick. Aw.
yeah.
Yeah. And it gives a version number too.
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you've got the 2017 version 17.
It's true, and it's
You got to upgrade your teeth flower. This is going to be awful.
and then we get
so-
the first. Oh, sorry.
So you is like running around like, Sora, do we have an antidote, or not an antidote, but Sora's like, there's this thing we can give her, it's orange, look for it, you can't find it in the supplies in the infirmary, and then Pee-Pee shows up with a bottle of antidote in his mouth for some reason, and
Right.
they inject Coco with it, and she gets temporarily better.
Right. It doesn't treat the disease. It just makes the symptoms a little less worse.
So, and then unlike in Kids Route, so Takeshi asks Sora to tell them what T-Flow is because none of them know what it is and none of them have heard about it before. But, of course, we know in the other route, they have heard about it before, and it was something that was thought to be eradicated.
Right.
So TB was, so they say TB was developed in a research facility below Lemieux.
And
The structure that is below Lemieux is called IBF.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where the vents are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't fucking know, the theme park was to fund the research? Which
It's
Yeah,
like
they
a
said it
goddamn
was
sense.
it was a cover as
Yeah.
well as a funding source because there was a bunch of stuff that they needed to use the things at the bottom of the ocean, like the little thermal vent fuckos, to do research on. And they figured it was just a perfect cover, plus they could have scientists come in and out just being like, oh yeah, they're managers of the theme park or whatever. And they were like, so we needed a cover so that nobody would interfere or figure out what we were doing. And then we figured out, hey, we can make some money on the side. Fuck it, why not? So we built a theme park
It's
on
so
top
weird.
of it.
Yeah, it's
The
It's
theme park is weird.
I
It's
still
a
don't get-
really
I still don't
good
get
cover.
if they actually developed the TB or if they were just down there trying to find a cure for it.
It sounded like in Tsugumi's route, at least, pretty clearly they developed it.
They
Like,
were
oops,
saying
we
they
made a
wanted-
super weapon.
They wanted to develop things with deep sea viruses and single-celled organisms and stuff like that. I think, or
Yeah.
is that a deal? Yeah, but
This is also the craziest Scooby-Doo ending ever.
yeah, really. So and then they
But yeah, so
they have to take.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, like, so they want to get down to IBF, I think, to try to help Coco. And
now, since Coco's dying, Sora's like, okay, I will help you guys get there.
and you have your final impactful choice, which is, do I want to ask, or not the final, but like, do I want to ask Sora for help, or Tsugumi, or you? You get 2 shots. You have to do it twice, and
To open the Himmel door.
Yeah,
So
and
they
you'll-
get to the Himmel door. They're at the Himmel door. They're gonna open the Himmel door, you guys. We're finally gonna open the
I
goddamn
know.
Himmel door.
right, and then what happens here? So
Well,
Nobody
you
can
can
open
choose
the
you.
door.
You can
Yeah.
choose you, and that's like the comedy option where she just kind of pounds on it.
right.
Yeah, you tries to kick the door down because whatever.
And then, yeah, Tsugumi is trying to, like, so Tsugumi was like, okay, I don't know how, I'm trying to figure out how to open it too, but I do know that, she asks, like, Sora exactly how the door works, and she mentions there's a manual lever in it, so she's like, maybe we can try to break that open. She has a screwdriver, and I think if you ask her first, the screwdriver bends, and she's like, alright, that won't work. You know?
Yeah.
And then, Sora tries to, like, use the keypad, kind of, but, like, sparks appear, and it's, like, she can't get
Yeah,
into
she
there.
doesn't have permission to override it.
But
The
then,
Sora door appears to be to keep Sora the fuck out. It seems like it's like it's labeled that because it means you're not welcome.
and, but to everyone's shock, the door is opened by someone inside the Himmel door, which I do have to admit I was kind of like, whoa, what the fuck, you know, when it happened, but it's kind of a letdown.
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
opened by some guy.
Yeah.
Some guy with teeth blow lies dying at the console inside the Himmel room.
And it's like,
He opened it for them.
and it's totally like, oh my god, this is so gory, we can't even show it to you. Because there's no artwork for him, he's never, ever, like, on camera. It's like, I mean, I know it's really to save, like, money drawing him, but it was like, oh, like, researcher just appears and starts talking to you.
I'd like to imagine that they're just like the really generic scientists with like the white coats and the kind of grayish hair, like the glasses that don't show their actual eyes.
Yeah, that's how I imagine them all too, like anime scientists.
Right, yeah, so, he's like, he's dying, and he's like, there's still 6 people in Limbu, I'm sorry, it's all our fault, and Takeshi, like, starts to rouse him just by shaking him a lot, and then, but either way.
Which is really good when someone's like spurting blood out of their face.
Yes.
Just vibrate them wildly, dude.
And also, like, so they all have it now, right? Like, they all, like, walk in here with this guy, and, like, I don't know how TB is transferred. I guess it's only by blood? I'm not sure. It's just, like, the fact that they're, like, in here, all these dudes are dead, this dude's dying, like, it just seems like they should not be so surprised if anyone gets infected from this,
I mean,
because they're, like, right there, on top
Unless
of this
all the
dude.
scientists were just making out, it's gotta be airborne.
Yeah, because what would they get? They get blood splashed on them? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
So
Yeah.
they're like,
it has a very Ebola-like feel to it.
but they find them, they're in kind of just like a generic room, more or less, you know, there's like a console with like a swivel chair and some, you know what I mean, it's like a little labby kind of room.
It's bright white.
Yeah, but there's a big ass decompression chamber type of thing, like behind glass, and
So the lower, so they have to go down to the IBF, and that's at 12 atmospheres of pressure.
yeah,
So decompression takes an hour.
right.
So they just have to sit in an elevator for an hour with
Right.
Coco and with everybody to
And
to get down there to the treatment pods.
Yeah, I think she said something about, well, I could do it in half an hour, but you're gonna feel a little discomfort.
Yeah, and Sora is also like, I can't go with you. Why can't you go with them?
Yeah, so
Because-
Sora can't project herself any further in the
Yeah, there's-
facility.
Yeah.
Like, it's 2 separate computer systems, and there's one specifically for the research facility.
I see.
More or less is what it comes down to, and Sora is just for theme park.
Yeah. So it would be
Basically,
cool to
she
get.
can't go down there.
I was hoping for evil Sora down in IBF, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sora-
there's
Sora
no
with a
RSD down
mustache.
there. There's
Just
no other
Bora.
lady.
Just a boring, nothing, fucking whatever computer.
So there's a choice. Get 1 more point with either of the ladies.
That's
If you
right.
say, let's go, then you get a point for Sora. And if you say, wait a second, then you get a point for Tsugumi.
That's really the final, that's the final impactful choice of the route. at that point, you are locked into an ending.
And if you say, wait a second, like, it doesn't have any particular, like, he doesn't, it's like, he says, like, wait a second, and then Tsugumi's like, no, let's go.
Yeah, it's totally.
Yeah, he's like, well, in case they needed a shower or a snack, brush their teeth or whatever.
Yeah, he makes a dumb joke. Yeah, that's what he does.
And she's just like, shut the fuck up.
But it gets to
kid's
a
dying.
specific point.
Yeah, I know, because that was, okay, so I did the, yeah, let's go, and then, like, was like, fuck, I need to see if I got the bad ending. So I went back to that, and just chose let's wait, and that was the one point I needed to push me over into commenting.
I think
was that stupid-ass decision.
It almost, like, implies that Tsugumi secretly enjoys all of Takeshi's jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, and in the Tsugumi ending, it's pretty clear that she likes when he's a big fucking maroon, so.
Yeah.
Right.
And both the endings, well, the Tsugumi ending is much sweeter than the Sora ending, I think. But anyway, they descend.
Yes. So, yeah, Sora wishes everybody goodbye. They have a little announcement, and at 357 feet, another multiple of 17, they end up in, like, a pool room, or, like, a moon pool room, I think, which is, if you've ever seen, like, movies and underwater facilities, they have, like, a room with a pool leading to the ocean that a submarine would come in from. That's like, but it's like that kind of deal. They wander around and they find their treatment pods, which look like 3 kind of pods with like little crosses on them, like glass.
It's the pods! We found the pods!
Yes!
Oh no, the pods!
Right. But they're just treatment pods, I think, right? There's no, like, it just says oxygen treatment, really.
Yeah, there's no weird shit in them. There's no
fluid.
Goo in them.
Nope. So they put Coco in, and there's a little hologram thing that's like doing her whole like EEG and readouts and shit like that, and
they also put the researcher in another pod. And
that's
then
right.
The third pod won't close, so they can't use it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think
they do review the options that the pod has, and one of them in particular stood out as probably important. So it has like oxygen saturation and like the high pressure oxygen treatment or whatever, the thing that they're using to stabilize people, has all the readouts, and it has cryogenic freezing capabilities.
And I feel like they didn't.
Yeah, so it can do surgery, it can do all this stuff, like what? And it can freeze you.
You know, it's like the Prometheus medical pod, kind of, except
it is exactly.
It is like the Dragon Ball Z healing pod. You're right.
I was about to go on a Prometheus rant, but I'm stopping myself because that's
no, God,
too much
don't.
of a derail. Anyway, look, we
I can talk about DBZ if that even.
No. Listen.
Hey, it's me, Goku.
We're in IBF. Okay, I keep thinking it's like IBS too, but
yeah, I know.
And they need to wait a few hours, I think, for to help like treat Coco, right?
Yeah, they have to wait for like an hour. And so
Yeah.
they wander around. Then also they try to force open some doors while they walk around. But there's like a really bad smell that comes from the doors. And Takeshi peeps through an opening right before the door closes and sees researchers covered in blood who had died. Mm-hmm. So, like, they all have TB at this point. Like, all of them are they must all be infected at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just, like, what? There's a bad smell? What is that? Like, is that the decaying bodies? They died 6 days ago?
Oh, yeah. So, does that happen on the Tsugumi route as well?
Yeah, it happens on both routes.
Okay.
I think it does.
Because I know they're. I think they mentioned that they run around a little bit in the bad ending.
I think it's the Tsugumi route. She takes charge more of what they're doing and going around, so they might not force open that door. Yeah,
because I know the bad ending is very soon. The bad ending is like right around here where the game crashes out if you failed.
And but for the record, I for sure on Sora's route, he also like. Takeshi opens a door and peeks through and sees the bodies, and he has the smell. So that does happen on both routes. Mm-hmm. But at any rate,
depending on which route you're on, like different people give you information. Like if you're on Sora's route, then Yu gives Takeshi a lot of information. Versus if you're on Tsugumi's route, then Tsugumi gives Takeshi more information about TB. Mm-hmm. And we learned that the incubation period of TB is 2 to 7 days.
Yep.
So, there you go. 7 days.
Yeah, and let's see here. At one point, I think on Sora's route, Kid starts to feel sick, basically, right? Or does the researcher come out first?
I think Takeshi starts feeling sick.
So
Because we run into the researcher and Coco, but then I think because Yu's telling us in the hallway about TB. Then Takeshi starts feeling dizzy, and I think he gets like a nosebleed. Then they go back to the medical facility, and that's when they see that Kid is also sick.
So bad ending, since this is out and done, and this is where it ends. I'll just say bad ending now and tell what that is, because that might be the only person who got bad ending.
Go for it.
This comes up here. Basically, it's just you're all hanging out, and before you even leave to go talk to somebody else, Sora or Tsugumi, you all are just in the room, and you see Kid. He starts getting weak and like freaking out and coughing up blood and shit, and you're like, dude, you gotta get in the pod, and he's just like, no, I can't. Then I think Yu starts bleeding out of her mouth and all that, and then Takeshi does, and everybody but Tsugumi basically starts coughing up blood and getting blood in their eyes and everything, and freaking out and panicking and starting to realize like, oh no, you know, it's all going bad. Like, I think they just sat around and did nothing for a while is kind of the implication while they were waiting for something to occur. But they just start bleeding. All of them start, dying of this disease. Tsugumi just kind of looks back as this is happening to everybody. And it's just kind of like, well, this is rather shite, yeah? Just kind of like looks back at everyone dying, and then it just starts counting down like the amount of time until the whole fucking place collapses with everyone inside. It's like 3 minutes, and it just like shows like a red screen in that screen with all the faces and stuff, and he's just like, yeah, I couldn't see anything, blood was filling my eyes, I could barely hear anything. And then like Tsugumi's just like, yeah, it's too bad, I would've liked hanging out with you more. Well, see ya. And then it just shows like the last thing I remember was the horrible sound of like everything imploding around me. And then everybody dies. No moral.
Yeah.
The end.
And you're
That's
stuck.
rough.
And it's like the end, but not for you, because you were in the infinity loop.
All this described in intensely gory detail, I assume.
Oh yeah, no, it's like way more visceral about it, but I just think it's funnier to just be like, everyone died, the end, no moral. Goodbye. Please play
God.
again.
Gross.
In the
picture.
Yeah. It's a fairly.
Aww.
It's a fairly.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You see you dead too. She's all
Yeah.
covered in blood or whatever.
She's
And
like.
he's just kind of like, he leans over and he's like, oh shucks, you're dead, huh? And she's just like, yeah.
It sucks.
With the resignation of like the player who doesn't have a guide, getting this ending multiple times.
But at least you can kind of like fast forward through it.
So in the bad ending, do they talk about Coco being listed as a visitor in the IBF database?
Doesn't seem
Or
like
no?
it.
Okay. So
Yeah, I
I
don't
guess
think that
that's like
comes up
because you're
until
getting
later.
clues for the Coco ending. I guess in the good endings.
Yeah, there's this log that they find, and they discover that at some point there was like a take your daughter to work day where there was a scientist guy that hadn't seen his daughter in like a long time, and he was happy that she would be able to visit. And she took him, I guess she was in the lab at some point, and then she left. And
Pretty recently she was
Yeah, it was
Roughly
recently.
7 days
within
ago.
within the incubation time for Deep Blouse, so she must have picked it up there.
So this T.Y., whoever T. Yagami is Coco's father. And also, he said in the log that he wasn't sure if she would remember what he looks like because it had been so long. So that was really interesting. And so that also might be why Soros says to Coco in the beginning of the game, how many times have you been through this? Because she perhaps went to see her dad several times.
Yeah, it's right. And then she counts off like she's joking around, like 1, 2, 3, 4, one time.
Oh, that's
Yeah, because
right.
maybe she's not supposed to say,
Yeah.
and maybe she knows
I
that.
see.
I don't know. It's weird. So they go back to the infirmary, Yu is looking in the computer or something like that, and says, "Well, there's no known way to treat TB. You can just suspend it." Mm-hmm. And then she sees the part about cryogenic suspensions.
Right.
The researcher's condition suddenly worsens. He appears to be choking himself to death. He says, "My daughter, please take care of her." Mm-hmm. So, which is implied in Tsugumi's route. Tsugumi explicitly says, like, "I think that was Koko's dad."
Yeah.
Oh.
Versus in Sora's route, Yu talks to Takeshi and is like, was he talking about Koko? Was he talking about Sora? Mm-hmm. Because, like, he could have viewed Lemmy as his child.
She said a thing
that was a weird thing to say.
Well, she said a thing like computer programmers might consider their software their children, and I'm like, nope. That doesn't.
Nope.
I know.
It's not a thing that I do.
Maybe I'm a dick, but.
And I worked with adorable robots.
I
only called them my children when it's sarcastically when they messed up. And I said, "Wow, look at my beautiful idiot children."
My child, you are breaking my heart. Yeah. It knocks over the ketchup bottle for the 33rd time.
That was just me every day.
Squeezes the entire ketchup bottle out onto the hot dog. You can't even eat it anymore.
But never when I was proud of them. Only when I was disappointed in them did I call them my children.
It sounds like my mom.
Oh, no. And then you also talks. Oh, they look around and they see that there were escape pods in IBF, but they're all gone. The researchers must have used all of the escape pods.
And then I think at this point, is this when the kid starts getting sick?
Well, they another thing that Yu says is that Sora, like this instance of Sora that is like the like basically the Sora. It's basically like Sora is a Git repository, and like the local backup of Sora is in the Himmel room, and she has not been pushed to the computer in Incel Null. Right. So when the Himmel room is destroyed in the flooding, then the most recent updates of Sora will also be destroyed.
Right. So she goes on this thing where it's like Sora would still be in some form of her would be available, but it wouldn't be the one that they know because the memories are still up in the amusement park and they're gonna go.
So all of this, like, Takeshi was worried that she wasn't as invested, like, she really, like, the version of Sora that they know is actually in danger of being destroyed by Lemieux being destroyed. So
yeah, you really gotta use...
She was invested this whole time, that's what it's saying. And maybe she didn't know that, I don't know. And then Takeshi starts bleeding. He, like, looks up and then starts bleeding, and he sneezes and he's bleeding everywhere. And in the Sora route, he's talking to Yu, and in the Tsugumi route, he's talking to Tsugumi when this happens.
And she makes.
And then they run in, and they're like, "Oh, you've got TB. The kid also has TB." Everyone's confused, like they don't know viruses can spread through the air.
Mm-hmm. Like at first they kind of make like a joke, it's like, "Oh, you're bleeding from the nose. You must be thinking about something perverted, you pervert." And then he starts like vomiting and getting weak knees. "Oh no, you're dying." Actually,
that would be a good another bad ending though if he starts just bleeding out and they're just too busy laughing at him for being an pervert and he just dies there.
Start drawing on his face.
Takeshi. Nobody.
You fucking
this isn't
fuck.
funny.
Start using his blood to draw on his face.
God. So on that note, let's talk about Pee-Pee. Pee-Pee shows up and has enough serums for everyone, also in his mouth. What is this dog? This dog must be a robot dog, and it must be a robot dog that Coco's dad gave to her to protect her from TB. Like, so that she would always have the antidote near her.
So the dog
because
is like a
we already know
Pez
that
dispenser?
robot dogs exist.
Yeah, because they mentioned that.
I think it's an anti-TB dispenser robot.
Yeah. Because remember, the teacher anecdote from the first playthrough when they were talking about how that teacher that couldn't keep anything alive had robot dogs who died or whatever.
Yeah, so I think that's where that comes back, and that would also explain why like nobody takes care of Pee-Pee and it's fine. Because Pee-Pee's a robot.
Wait a minute, though. Does Pee... That's interesting. Because the life counters show, like, all the people on board and then an animal. But then later we find out that there's actually 2 animals, which is the hamster and the dog. So
But the dog's
one
a
of those
robot.
is not alive.
Yeah, we should be
The
dog.
hamster's counting, the dog doesn't.
Yep.
That would make sense.
And that would make 6, yeah.
Pez dispenser
So-
dog.
Yeah. So they have enough antidotes, so they all inject themselves. If you are in the Sora route, then I believe Tsugumi just injects herself, or she lets you inject her. She doesn't fight back or anything. But if you're in the Tsugumi route, she does fight back and is like, I don't need this because I'm immortal. Or she like doesn't take her injection.
Yeah,
and
it's just
then-
like everyone takes one, and then Tsugumi refuses. And also in the Tsugumi route, Yu is aware of Tsugumi's condition. I can't remember exactly when it comes up, but
Yeah, it's the same time that she says in the Sora route, like, oh, I know all this stuff about Sora and like Sora's memory because I hacked the database. And she said, otherwise she says the same thing about Tsugumi, that she hacked the database and found stuff
yeah,
about
and
Tsugumi.
she's just like, yeah, I found out there was a condition. It's, called cure or whatever. Or she asked you, first of all, she's like, yeah, what do you know, about, did she tell you about it? And, you're just like, no, I don't know anything. She's like, okay, cool. So, what do you actually know, though? Because she's got a condition that, like, makes her immortal or whatever. She's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, man. So, yeah, Yu is aware on top of it, too. So, in this route, when Tsugumi says it, it doesn't, like, freak you out or anything. She's just like, yeah, well, it makes sense.
So, in Tsugumi's route, does Yu fight the injection? Does she not
Yes,
like it?
you still panic. Yeah, you hates
Yeah,
needles.
Okay,
she's
yeah.
afraid
Yeah.
of needles, so they have to hold her down, which is weird, and she ends up doing it for herself anyway. But I guess it's an intravenous injection, which is why Yu is like the only one who knows how to do it, because she knows how to give an intravenous injection.
Like,
which
I'm
is
not a
intense.
medical person or anything. Like, you can't just stick a needle in your arm, right? You have to, like, find a vein or something.
Yeah,
you
it's
have
hard.
to find it. Yeah, it actually is like a tough thing to do. You have to know where to get it, and that's why they have you like squeeze a thing before you get any kind of needle in you. They might like tie
and-
it off a little bit because that makes the vein more prominent.
And
So
I can
that's
only
something that's
assume,
important.
because they're afraid of air bubbles, that is a real, like, that it's an intravenous injection, which is like intense. And I don't think a layperson could do that. And I just don't think that's something that you could do, even if she was the best Girl Scout in the world. But whatever, it's a video
It
game.
is unsafe. It is unsafe to just like have an untrained person do phlebotomy in general. Yeah.
Also, so then they all inject themselves. The next thing is like they're all sitting around like seeing if they're gonna die or not, and Yu regrets that she's dying because she's like, oh, I even had figured out the final password that I needed, and I guess she tells Takeshi the password, but we don't hear it. And I guess they all pass out at least Takeshi passes out because he wakes up to a transmission from the surface. So, all of a sudden, there's a transmission from the surface. Some kind of Navy vessel is on their way to rescue them. Like, some kind of, like, Coast Guard, whatever, is on their way to rescue them. The man on the line says that in case they can't get down there, I guess because of the pressure, there is a deep exploration submarine that has been left in the research facility, and Takeshi looks up the instructions to call the sub back home from wherever it is via remote control. So, which is relevant in Tsugumi's route. But either way, you learn about the submarine. So there are ways for them to escape. So that's good. And then I think this is when it diverges completely, because Takeshi is like, I need to go back up to Lemieux and make a copy of Sora from Himmel.
Yep.
And all of them are waiting in the sub docking room, and he basically like hits Tsugumi and leaves her to go get Sora. Like he like pushes her back violently.
Right. I gotta go for
Is
the
this in
hologram
both the
girl.
Tsugumi and the Sora route?
No.
This is
No.
Sora.
Yeah,
'Cause
because
in
at this
Tsugumi-
point,
Tsugumi route, Tsugumi's just already left at this point. Like, she just fucked off again, as Tsugumi is one to do. So you hear the transmission that like, hey, we're going to come get you. Also backup plan. There's the sub, et cetera, et cetera. So before even like telling anyone else about this, which it seems like it's fairly crucial information for the whole team to know, he just goes, fuck, I gotta go get Tsugumi. So he just like runs the fuck upstairs at that point. But
yeah,
go
so
ahead,
in both
finish
cases,
up Sora's. Yeah.
he has to go back up into Lemieux like a fucking idiot.
Right.
Yeah, and this is a little visceral for Takeshi coming up here.
Yeah, my notes, it says Takeshi, an idiot, tries to bust from 12 to 1 atmosphere without decompression.
Yep.
Yeah, just
so
like
he
imagine.
takes the elevator, and
Yeah.
he, like both cases, Sora's like, you can't open the door. The pressure is, you have to decompress. It's gonna be an hour, and he's like,
let
I
me
can't have
decompress
an hour.
you.
Oh, so one thing that does happen in the Tsugumi ending that then makes this a lot more sensible. He didn't just get the cure. At this point, they've also all decided to give themselves Cura antibodies.
How?
Oh right, sorry. In the Tsugumi ending,
Yeah.
they're like, "Yeah, Tsugumi, give us some of your blood," and so they spin out. They separate a sample of her blood and inject themselves with it.
Yeah, like he's just like, we need to make some kind of antibodies or vaccine or whatever, and Tsugumi rightly is like, you're fucking stupid. Do you know how hard that is? Like, we have like a fucking kid's lab kit. What are you doing? And just, well, it's either we all die or we try. So how about that? And just talks her into
Tsugumi
it.
is she's like sitting there unwilling to do it because she thinks that it's going to make them all immortal, and we don't really know if it's going to make them all immortal or not.
Yeah, she doesn't want that, and then she's also worried that it'll just flat out kill him because like it is a virus. It doesn't work correctly 100% of the time apparently. So she has major concerns regarding the whole damn thing. We talk her into it anyway, spin all her stuff out, and yeah, just like everyone gets injected with some Highlander blood. They
So
all
in the Sora route, that does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And but he did. But also, I'm not like the kiss still happened, so I'm kind of like not sure if what Takeshi's immortality status is at this point.
I don't think he is, because you get the kiss and the blood and everything before the bad ending too, where everybody dies. So
Well, yeah.
I don't know if that was enough.
And he,
So-
starts getting sick before he runs back up to the elevator. So I don't know. I think it's like a situation where in one case it just works, and then in another case it doesn't, or maybe like the ending for the Sora route will expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see what else on the Tsugumi route. They also try to put Kid in the pod where the dead researcher is, but he refuses, and then they talk about they use Tsugumi's blood, and then Takeshi has to go back to Lemieux to save Tsugumi, who went to get Chami, and so what he does is in both cases he goes back up the elevator and opens the door before decompression.
Yeah,
is
and I want you to
done.
picture
And
this. The elevator just explodes open, and I don't know if you've seen any like the pictures of the fish that they bring out from like the deep sea just up to the surface, where they basically undergo explosive decompression or compression or whatever, and they go through it in detail. Like his eyes are bugged out of his head, his organs are like pushing against the rest of his body. He's sitting there just gasping for air. It's terrible, and he's also getting bends in like his bloodstream. Plus he's got TB.
he fucked up.
He's fucked.
Fucked up
He's
real
fine.
bad.
Yeah, in the Tsugumi route, most of the description is just he gets fucking rocketed across the room and slams into a wall like a moron. And
Yeah.
like his headphones are all broken and fucked up and stuff, but
He's a dumb
think-
idiot.
I think there's
Yeah.
an implication that he's a little more aware that he is a somewhat immortal dumb idiot at the very
I think in
least.
the Sora route, it's the point of it is, at this point he's completely fucked. He's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in the Sora route, while he's talking to Sora, and he's like, Sora, I came back, to get you, and I'm gonna make a copy, and we're gonna go to the service, and it'll be great. And while they are talking, the elevator catastrophically decompresses and is destroyed.
Of course.
And in my notes it just says, "Oh my God, Takeshi."
No.
So at this point, like, if you didn't think he was dead before, he's super dead now.
Plus, when he fell, he broke his arm.
No.
Yeah, it's because she's a fucking idiot. So he's already decided that he's gonna die for his robot girlfriend.
Yes.
And I think at this point, I think we can just go all the way through to the Sora ending, and then we'll go all the way through to Tsugumi ending because they're totally different.
Exactly. Yes.
So Sora's like touched by this, but she's like, no, you have to get out. You have to escape and stay alive. It doesn't matter about me. So they're both like, it doesn't matter about me. All it matters about is you. Except Sora's not real. Sora has a plan to float Takeshi to the surface using this tube in the middle of Lemieux. First question, why didn't y'all do this before? I guess it involves like a catastrophic flooding of the lower floors, so they couldn't do it with everyone. But she basically
she's like,
is like, no, you get in this tube, and then I'll flood the tube, and then you'll float to the surface.
So if anyone's wondering, basically the tube is the central elevator shaft going through the middle of Lemieux, and she's like, I can now, maybe we have, I don't know, somehow, like, we can drain out all the water into Drittastock, or Zvittastok, I forget. You get in, and I'll flood it back in, and you'll float up, because now, for some reason, the elevator is gone, right? Because of this, of what just happened. So, I guess this is possible. I don't know, but...
Sora
whatever.
also slaps Takeshi using the RSD laser.
Laser.
So she like zaps his eyes, and she's like, I didn't know I could do that. I could burn your retinas. So she basically reveals that her limiters have been removed.
So yeah, now she has laser powers.
Yeah, and threatens him with it too if he won't does what you say.
Yeah. So it's like basically forces him to do this, and while he's on his way there, he runs to the control room, and so basically you with this password had gotten to the point where she had typed it in, but she had not hit enter.
Didn't have enough seconds to hit that enter button.
So he hits enter, and but he has nothing to copy the data onto, but he does that. It doesn't help anything, but he does that. I don't think he doesn't get any information from that or anything. He doesn't have he doesn't have anywhere to copy the data to, and so then he goes into the chamber, to get shot up out of the straw, out of Lemieux. But the doors aren't opening. And he needs to go repair, like the doors at the top are not opening, or the doors to drain the water. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He needs to go make a repair on a panel. While he's in the control room, he finds a disc. So he's like, oh, this is a 1 terabyte drive. I can copy data onto this.
Oh yeah, you find that in Tsugumi's ending too. Like the dog just pukes it up. They don't do
I
anything
think
with it.
That's a copy of the dog.
Oh, that's a copy. Oh, the dog just ejects his copy.
Yeah, because he's gonna die. He's gonna die, so he's like, here's a copy of me to put in the next dog.
I, PP, am immortal.
I love you, goodbye.
Just put it on a CD.
That was the impression I got, because in this case, it's to put a copy of Sora on.
No digital media on the floor, PP.
And also because after PP barfs the disc out, he like turns off.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You can see these nuts. Blah.
I don't know why that's so funny, but it's really funny. But yeah, I don't think this happens in this. Yeah, this one doesn't happen in this one because he immediately gets separated from the group to go fucking die. And so he finds a disc in the control room. I don't know, something won't work, and he floods Lemieux, leaving him and Sora sealed in Himmel. I don't have in my notes exactly how this happens.
I think
it doesn't matter.
I think it's idiot. Like she's telling him to get on your mark. We need you ready to get shot up through the tube. And then the door, some door won't open, so he's got like a little extra time to make a detour to try to find the digital media to get back to the whatever station to copy Sora over to the CD. And then like at that point, I think it becomes like too late. So now he's just kind of trapped in a room with, the CD and with Sora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a moment of tension where it's not clear if the door is going to close and water's coming in, but the door does close in time
Right.
And so Takeshi's gonna die.
Yeah, and they kind of just...
Him and Sora talk to each other, and he's like, it doesn't matter if I'm gonna die because I'm here with you, or something like that. He's like, I'm gonna save you by copying your data.
Right.
And doesn't he invoke the myth of Pygmalion again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does!
Yep, he makes the copy.
I took a screenshot of this somewhere.
And he passes out at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, then like
there's
there's this quick day switch.
That's right.
There we go. This one's for Tuesday.png.
What's up?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Do you know the legend of Pygmalion?
Yeah, that happens again in
He
Sword.
says this as they're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really kind of a sad thing, because he does get the CD of Sora copied over and kind of
he
puts it in his
passes out.
pocket.
He wakes
Sorry.
up day 7. Day 7 he copies her onto
Right.
a disc. It's
So-
like the last thing he does.
Right, he
kinda
passes
like
out
saving
because of
her.
like the decompression and like the teeth
And-
flow and all the other shit that's happening to him.
And he
And
has
then
a dream, and he thinks to himself, like, he has a dream like he's gonna be born, and he resolves to be reborn during this dream.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So that is, like, a big thing there. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that he's gonna, like, does he will himself into the second timeline? Not sure.
And then they sort of embrace, and it's like a miracle. I almost could feel her and smell her, and then the water comes in, and he drowns. The end.
Yeah, he hugs Sora, the water flushes in and kills both of them. They embrace
What
as
an
Himmel
idiot.
collapses.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb of him. But he's got a...
Takeshi fucking dies.
What's kind of ridiculous is he has a copy of her, but it's not like anyone's going to find his body at the bottom of the ocean, so she's effectively dead too. Tsugumi's ending.
Yeah.
What's what happened?
Tsugumi's ending. They
see
they
here.
give themselves the serum. Oh right, Takeshi goes back into Lemieux,
get
and
Tsugumi.
to get Tsugumi, who went to go get Chami.
Right.
And he has to swim a long distance underwater again in order to get to where she is, but he has no problem doing it this time.
Right.
And then then they go back. Like, I don't think
The elevator doesn't catastrophically
Right, yeah, they-
decompress this time.
Yeah, they get back.
Oh,
to
no,
IB,
it does.
I think, right?
It fucking throws him out. It rockets him across the room and he slams his head against a wall like a dipshit, but it still works. Like he's still
Yeah.
able to go back down.
Oh, he
somehow.
could go back down it though.
it's still functional. Yeah,
Oh,
he
is
still
it-
blows it up, but like it doesn't. They can still go back down.
Right.
Okay.
But so they're they go to the infirmary. They kiss in the infirmary, but Takeshi is still like, but we're friends. I don't know. Whatever, dude.
What an idiot. Like, at this point, like, you went back
Oh,
for
and
her.
so then they go in so then they're like, we got her. You know, he finds her. They kiss. They go back to the elevator to go back down to IBF.
Mm-hmm.
And Sora just watches them as the Himmel room fills up with water as they are decompressing in this elevator. And Sora does not say a word. She just sits there and stares at them as Himmel slowly fills up with water. Which is like,
Aw.
fuck. So you get to be like, Sora, dead. And she doesn't even talk.
Aw,
That's stone cold.
it is.
It's fucked up.
And just think, if he got a disc or something, he could have made a copy on the way, and boom, we could have pushed
If
off.
Yeah,
only
he
Sora would have puked up her damn disc.
You gotta use those Sora save states.
Seriously.
I mean,
So-
one thing that kind of got to me was this is like a super advanced AI that can like think and feel and fall in love. And like, what is he going to do? Is he just going to go to like the Sora folder and like Control C, Control V?
I'm assuming.
I would think it would be her like some method of recreating her like that section of her memory, like the updated model with the updated weights.
Oh,
from-
right, just like the save files.
Yeah, I think
But-
it's like just the weights because everything else of her exists on the surface.
Yeah, but this is. I mean, okay. on the one hand, this is Takeshi being a complete moron, because it's like, you can't just make a Reddit post, like, does anybody have this thing to read AIs and files and RSDs? Is there, like, a program? Is that in Windows 10 or what?
Trying to pirate Sora
Right.
2.1, need help.
On the other hand,
this
this
is
is...
it on Incel Null.
But this is also the universe where you could apply a Turing test to something, so, who knows? But, I'm sorry, but yes, so,
Yeah. And even when he does make the copy, he's like, I don't know if this is gonna work. It might not have been enough. Also,
Right,
like, what the fuck kind of computer wouldn't be like, you don't have enough memory? But okay, whatever. It's fine.
Anyway,
fine.
so Tsugumi, we were on, what was that, the infirmary?
So they watch Sora die.
Oh yeah, they watch her
and
die.
then and they get back to IBF, but so the rescue team was like, we're gonna be there in an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And since they went back down the elevator at normal speed, the rescue team has already been there and picked up everyone else, and that's the central issue of Tsugumi's ending.
Right.
So they have to use that the aforementioned research submarine.
Yes. And, let's see here, so...
The next thing in my notes is Takeshi passes out, busts his fool head, but still tells Tsugumi he wants to fuck.
Yeah, like I can't even remember. It was just something he's just like, yeah, man, I'm dumb. I like to say stupid shit. I like fucking eating food, and I like to fuck. You know how it is. You give me a chance, and she's just like, I love you, you dumb moron. And it's just like, that's finally a touching scene I can relate to. This is finally something I understand. Finally.
So
Takeshi continues to be a dipshit right to the end.
they have
And
a
I
really
love
cute moment though. Like
Yeah.
they have like a genuine human moment alone together as like she's like standing over him while he's like lying down after passing out from whatever the things are that he's passing out from. All of the things.
Like, his head is split the fuck open, apparently. Like, she's like, yeah, I put stitches in you and stuff. And he's just like, is that good? Just like, has blood all over him and shit. Yeah.
And then also now again, he's like, oh, I'm hungry. He's like flirting with her and he's like, oh, I'm hungry, and he bites her finger and draws blood. So, just like Chami did.
And,
So, like, there are many occasions where Takeshi may have gained immortality in this moment.
right. But, yeah, he's like, I can smell her scent, taste her blood, yeah, taste her tears, etc. So, yeah, so he's probably got that now. But interestingly...
So then Pee-Pee dies. That thing. So Pee-Pee's still there
Yeah.
with them. Ejects a disc from his mouth and then deactivates because he's a robot dog.
Wait, what?
Well, because it says, so Pee-Pee has that disc in his mouth, like the disc comes out his mouth, and then it's like the light in his eyes are gone or whatever. He like freezes.
Oh,
in
that's
place.
after they make out, right?
Yeah.
That's
like
after
after
they
that
make
happens.
out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that does happen, by the way.
Wait, but I'm reading the text here, and it's just
Nice.
Pee-Pee didn't respond. All the color had vanished from his eyes. He didn't move at all. He was frozen as if he were dead.
Yeah.
Do you think,
Yeah, and then
like...
he-
do you
Yeah, and
think
then he pukes
just,
out. Yeah, like there was something
'cause he's a
stuck fast
robot.
in his mouth. Yeah, because we're pretty sure he was a robot, so he was just ejecting his pee-pee disc.
Where the hell did I miss?
Do you think it's like a situation where he just watched that entire thing and was like, I don't want to go on anymore?
I hate this blood.
Maybe Pee-Pee was recording information, or maybe it just like got
Nice.
it.
Here's your
Nice,
sex
my
tape.
boy. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, maybe
that's,
it was like, here's your sex
that's
tape.
my pee-pee.
I think it knew, it like, something in its system was like, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna die down here. So please take me and put my disc in another dog so that I may live forever as Pee-Pee the dog.
Wait, I'm sorry. I had to run check on my kid real quick, but like, we all knew Pee-Pee was a dog except me, a robot.
No, this is the thing that is like confirms that Pee-Pee is a
This
robot.
is the huge
because
twist.
He ejects a disc and deactivates.
It was your doing the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the rest of the time we've been like, why doesn't anyone care about the dog? Why, they never talk about taking care of the dog in any way. And the dog, ejected
I see.
or like happened to have these serums perhaps
Yeah,
stored
okay.
inside itself. So this is like sort of a confirmation that Pee-Pee's a robot dog.
Got it. Okay. All right then. So then
So Takeshi and Tsugumi get in the
submarine.
The submersible,
The
yeah.
sub. And
And they're just like really enjoying themselves too. It's like 5 minutes till the place fucking explodes, and they're like, "That's plenty of time. 4 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, yeah, we should probably get it."
yeah, it's a totally different feel.
Yeah,
Like,
they're like,
Tsugumi's totally
they're
on
like
board.
farting around, goofing.
So like,
Remember when we were in that storeroom and that thing fell on my leg and impaled me?
but then like, so what happens is the sub leaves, but then it starts to sink because I guess
That's what a sub does, though.
and then they realize there's too much weight. So then Takeshi's like, well, I have an answer for that. He opens the hatch and then he just jumps out of the sub, and we get a picture of Tsugumi kind of at the glass hatch, kind of back like stunned, and then he's like, oh, remember the Archimedes principle, which is like a callback to a thing that they talked about before. And then she's like, don't leave me by myself, and all this stuff. What does he leave out of, like an airlock kind of thing? Because it looks like they talk for a little bit.
Yeah, it's implied that it's like a small airlock hatch.
Oh, okay. So
Thingamaroo.
she's behind the glass, kind of begging him to live, and he's like, you want to live, so as long as you're alive, live. Me? Don't worry, I'm not going to die. And then the water flows in, and he becomes one with
Does
the
he
ocean.
say that? Does he say, I'm not gonna die?
Yes, he says, what do you call it? Takeshi, I'm sorry, I just saw it. I'm the biggest idiot. Okay. She's like, do you really want to die? He goes, don't worry, I may be stupid, but I'm not that stupid. She's like, please don't leave me all by myself. And he says, there you go, it's gonna be worth it. Okay, you want to live? So live, as long as you're alive, live. Don't worry, me, I'm not going to die. 222 feet. The hatch on the bottom of the
then
sub
yeah,
opens.
just like kind of cracks one of the ballasts or something,
Yep.
and just kicks the sub up as hard as he can.
And he sinks to the bottom of the ocean.
The end. So, in all three of Takeshi's routes, he dies. You can't save Takeshi on Takeshi's route, it seems.
What a good boy.
Like, what? This one also, like, doesn't make any sense because, like, we already have established that Tsugumi is immortal. Like, and she knows 100% she's immortal. So, like, why would she not be able to eject herself from the sub and float to the surface?
I mean, it could be a
'Cause it
situation
doesn't matter if she
where
drowns.
it could be a situation where she's quote unquote immortal, like it's limited immortality. Because there was that scene in the warehouse where she was like underneath all the stuff and drowning and kind of acted like she could have died.
And there is the whole concept of like, if it is accelerated metabolism, there are still requirements for metabolism to occur. So like, if
She
she
can still
was,
drown.
yeah, like she could still drown in that case. If it was just like hyper accelerated metabolism or like accelerated cell replacement, stuff like that.
But Takeshi is also dead.
Oh yeah, no, Takeshi's
Yeah,
dead.
no,
Because
he's
he says,
fucked
I'm
in
not
every
gonna die,
timeline.
and he's fucking dead.
And the other thing too is like, it's if your lungs fill up with water, you can very easily lose your buoyancy to the point that you sink. So
Yeah.
there's that too. So even if she was just like, I'll just eject and go to the surface, it's like, oops, I can't hold my breath for 25 minutes, and it just like fills up with water, sinks to the bottom, and then is basically dead as well.
Yeah, which
And
seems to be what happens to Takeshi.
And keep in mind that they're still perfectly capable of feeling physical pain. So I don't think that any of them would, even if they were completely immortal, I don't think anybody would want to just like be at the bottom of the ocean with their lungs filled up with water, having like fish pick at their eyes and stuff.
Yeah, but like if we're not
Especially because if it takes like 7 years or whatever to fully become immortal, or 5 years or whatever it was that they claimed, then yeah, he's probably fine enough to fight off other stuff.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's about all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
I just had a
Yeah.
question though.
Mm-hmm.
For Tsugumi's ending, what does the life reading say
One.
at the after the credits? One.
One. It
It
always,
always
says
says
I think.
one? Jesus.
Yeah,
Well,
I think so.
It says that in Sora's route too, but since we know everyone is out of the facility and we know Takeshi's dead, then my only theory is that that's the hamster.
We don't know that Takeshi's dead. Really, is the issue.
Well, no, the hamster leaves on Tsugumi's route too, man.
Does the hamster leave?
Yeah, Tsugumi went specifically to go get her hamster.
Well, I didn't know if she
Yeah.
actually got the hamster. I didn't know the
Yeah.
status of that mission.
Why didn't they check
Yeah.
the hamster out of the sub then? Get rid of the damn
I don't know if the
hamster.
hamster would have done it because they were already sinking. So I don't know if that would have cut the mustard. The
Am I
hamster's
wrong in thinking that a sub usually
roughly the size of
sinks?
a hamster.
Like, doesn't a sub usually sink it?
Subnormal
Okay.
operation.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. Came in. Okay.
So yeah, that was a lot.
It was.
So then, what is
This
the
is
one life reading then?
Well, I don't think we
It's-
know.
It's me.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
so let's talk about. So what's the life reading in each ending?
It's always one.
So it's always one.
Mhm.
In Tsugumi's ending, is the one life reading Takeshi?
It's
Did
mayonnaise.
he?
I-
Did he make it back
I real-
to the facility?
I really think we don't know. If you want my honest to God guess, it's Coco. And because in
Yeah.
Kids Route, she's very
Okay.
clearly left behind because she's traveling fourth dimensionally, I guess, or something. But that's
Yeah, she might have been left in the pod. But
Yeah,
Takeshi
yeah.
and Tsugumi go back into that room, and they don't go like, "Oh, Coco's still in the pod."
Yeah, and the rescuers say they grabbed 3 people, which
Which-
would be Takeshi, or not Takeshi. It would be Kid, you, and Coco.
Mhm.
So,
But Coco, why would Coco leave Pee-Pee then for the disc?
Well, she's unconscious.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, she was pretty ill.
Okay. Well,
She's pretty sick.
I don't know. So the one life reading, I don't know. I mean, it could be Coco and all of them. She could still be there. She could have been there the whole time.
Could be the alternate form of Coco.
She could be Lami.
in all
We don't know.
So it could be like Mayo on one side and Coco on the other.
Yeah, it could be just like
If they're spliced halves, the dumb half and the smart half.
I would love that.
It could
Oh
be.
my god. So then in Sora's ending, there's one life reading left, and it's not clear who that is. I guess it could be Chami. It could be the implication that somehow Takeshi is still alive. In that case, also.
as good as Uchikoshi is, I personally don't think that he has written this such that every ending has a different remaining life form. I think the implication is, well, and I could be wrong, the implication is just to be, your closing movie is like, there's someone still in IBF or LMU or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's not over.
Yeah, exactly. It's just,
it
This is
could
not
be-
a true ending.
yeah.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
the whole thing where it's like, oh no, you're still alive and you're stuck in the infinity loop?
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be that.
I think it's that the point is we're gonna find something that's been kind of orchestrating all this, and that's gonna be the final life form, and it might be Yu's mom, it might be like Coco, but it's in some dimension that we're also in for sure, or grown up, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's gonna be some kind of like, this is what we're talking about ultimately, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that Coco is entirely what she seems, because she's so naive, but seems to be like 15 years old.
So
It doesn't make sense.
we have to talk about what we're gonna do for next time, by the way. Or I'm sorry, unless you wanted to bring something else up. Theory was.
No, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to, all right, so we do have to get Mayo's route. Maybe we can talk after this about like uploading a save game to Dropbox or something like that. It shouldn't take very long to just fast cycle through one of the endings you haven't been through before, because the fast forward works really fast if you haven't tried it. Like,
Yeah, when I ran through Sugumi's route after completing Sora's route, it took like an hour.
oh,
But I was like, there was
Yeah,
stuff I
it's-
wanted to read.
It's not super fast, especially, if like you've already heard everything, so you don't really care about reading it. You still have to manually click through every single option. It's pretty fucking slow.
oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, the save
maybe-
file option's probably good. In all fairness, the save file, when I broke mine, it was literally a single file that I just like plopped in, and it worked.
Maybe DVAC, maybe we can borrow yours, and then,
Yeah,
because I do know that,
tell me how to do it
sure.
off the recording.
Right, and then I'll include something.
Offline.
I'll include something.
We'll just crack this.
I'll include something in the podcast description for anyone at home who wants. But for my thinking was, we'll get that. We'll do Mayo's ending, and then we'll do something on True Ending. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
'Cause
Do
Mayo's
we want
is
to
not-
do both Mayo and the true ending together
He-
next episode?
We are not going to be able to finish True Ending in one shot. No way.
Okay.
True Ending's pretty long, but I read a bit of it, and I have a screen to end on, which is sort of well, basically it's just almost like stop reading when you hit this text, and it's fairly. It's gonna sound kind of funny, but I did it. I purposefully picked a screen that wasn't indicative of any like plot spoiler or anything like that, you know. But that would be the text dialogue, and I'll send this to you. Is Rip Van Winkle did exist. So
the last life form is Rip Van Winkle.
yes. Now, if you don't have the,
no.
So for those of you at home, you can pick, and for everyone here, if you want, you can pick Takeshi or the kid once you've seen Mayo's ending and you've gotten all 4 endings. And the trick is, if you're looking at the flowchart, there's a variable called CU that gets set, and now you're gonna have more options to do with Coco. Like, did you just hear something? And you get Coco points for it. You don't date Coco, don't worry. But it's basically like, if you look at the flowchart, you'll see like there's new options, and then the point is, at some point on day, it looks like 2, if you have enough Coco points, something is gonna happen, and you're probably gonna know that you're on the path. Like, there's gonna be like different things like through it, but you should know things or something, and you should know when you're locked in because you'll have an event.
And
that's
once you get on that path, it's a straight shot, right?
Yeah, then there's no choices ever once you're on the path.
Okay.
And again, the text you want to stop at is Rip Van Winkle did exist. If
He's real
he's real.
and strong and my friend.
Yeah, kid contends it. But
He's real, Mom. He's under my bed.
Oh no.
I would also urge you to take notes. It gets pretty crazy.
Okay, so then we'll do Mayo's ending and then the Coco ending up to Rip Van Winkle.
Did exist. All right.
Okay.
Good
That
luck.
works.
Oh boy.
Good luck, everybody following at home. But thanks for watching. Take easy, everybody listening.
Bye bye.